Next, we will have Representative Bonner. House File 140 will come before the committee, and we will be laying this over. But since you are a member of the committee, I don't need to move your bill for you. You can have the honor of doing so yourself.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move House File 140 before the committee.
Okay, House File 140 is before the committee. To your bill.
And Mr. Chair, I have an amendment, the A1.
Okay, would you like to move your A1?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to move the A1, and I will mention here also that there were, I believe, 2 potential drafting errors, so we may dispense with this, but if you would be willing to accept an oral amendment to fix the drafting errors, we might be able to do that as well.
Okay, when we do things like this, I always like to have nonpartisan go to the microphone so at least we can walk through what that is.
Correct.
So, Mr. Sullivan, if you, I'm talking slowly so he has time to walk to the microphone. So we have the A1. Representative Bonner, now that Mr. Sullivan is there, if you could point out to the committee where the errors are, and if they are of a minor change, we can do that. But also, given the fact that we're going to be laying this over, I'm sure Lead Cleveland will agree that we can fix it as we're going through the committee process. Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Briefly, the amendment itself makes some primarily technical changes to conform with the Senate. It also adds an agreement that we have with the Min-Kitla and the townships that allows us to add townships of over 5,000 as potential eligible folks on the bill as well. And I will let nonpartisan staff speak to the nature of the oral amendment. But essentially, we did have an agreement that the threshold for townships would be 5,000.
Representative Bonner, can you point out the lines that those would be referenced in?
Yes, the first, the oral amendment, I'm sorry. If you're looking at the amendment, line 1.6, it says a town with a population greater than. That should read a population greater than 5,000.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and members, Representative Bonner incorporates the following change into her A1 amendment. Page 1, line 6, delete the ellipsis and insert 5,000.
Okay. And is there a second change that needs to be made as well, or is that the only change?
My apologies, that's it.
Okay, Mr. Sullivan, that's easily done for you? Okay, so we are going to make the oral amendment to the underlying amendment. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Very well. The A1 has been moved. It has been amended, so we will vote to adopt the A1 amendment as amended. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Your bill has been amended. Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I know we are all giddy to talk about cybersecurity, at least 2 of us in the room. All right, nationally, the number of cyber incidents are mind-boggling and on the rise every day. As AI tools improve, so does the ability of hackers to stage a successful cyber attack. With each day, novice hackers using tools they bought off the dark web, a literal do-it-yourself kit in a shiny cyber box can launch an attack. Failure to be vigilant is not an option in today's world. Imagine Minute with all of the latest and greatest tools working to fend off 5,224 incidents just last year with a full-trained crack team of cyber professionals. What would it look like for our small rural counties, our cities, and our townships with no staff on hand, aging infrastructure, and little or no cyber tools at their disposal? We all know the legislature sets the budget, but we rely on our partners in local government to implement vital services to our citizens. So the challenge to many of our counties, cities, and smaller towns lacking staff or funding is to upgrade aging equipment, software, or modernize their cybersecurity infrastructure to steel their defenses. Why would that matter to all of us here in these seats? Well, we may recall a few years back that there was a massive data breach at Target. What's notable about the incident was that Target was vigilant about securing infrastructure and updating its security tools to prevent exactly this type of incident. However, the hacker didn't enter through the front door, but rather snuck in through a trusted vendor to gain access to the data. It was an epic disaster at the time, sending sales plummeting, and took years to regain trust. More recently, United Health, also tight on security, acquired a new company whose security was not as sound. The fallout lasted months after the incident. We're only as strong as our weakest link. IT modernization, increased cybersecurity tools, and infrastructure benefit all Minnesotans and strengthen the ability of our state and our partners to deliver the services our neighbors need most. Imagine the fallout if our state government or our partners in the counties and cities could not meet the services our committees and our neighbors rely on every day. Imagine that time it would take to regain that trust. This bill is a start, creates critical investments to position our partners in government, secure critical assets and data, place them in the path to a secure future, and provide trust to our neighbors. And more importantly, it creates a whole of Minnesota plan for stronger security posture and a robust future. The bill has bipartisan authorship in the House and Senate and has the support of the IT caucus members who are on the bill. I ask you to support House File 140, and I have 2 testifiers.
Okay, we have Mr. Lightfoot, League of Minnesota Cities. Please come to the table, introduce yourself to the committee, and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Good morning. For the record, my name is Daniel Lightfoot with the League of Minnesota Cities. The League represents the collective interests of our 841 member cities across the state. I want to thank Representative Bonner for chief authoring House File 140 in the House. For you, Mr. Chair, for always being engaged on cybersecurity issues, both within the private sector and public sector, as this bill deals with. As Representative Bonner discussed, House File 140 addresses a critical need that local unit of governments have, especially those that are under-resourced, to provide resources that will bring those under-resourced cities, counties, and now our township, a few of our township friends, up to a baseline level of cybersecurity capability. As this committee knows, we are a small city state, but those small cities still manage critical infrastructure like water, wastewater treatment facilities, energy generation and distribution, dams and levees, police and EMS, transportation infrastructure, et cetera, as well as manage a lot of sensitive data for our residents, which has made them more and more a target for ransomware attacks. To give you a sense of the cybersecurity capabilities of our cities, of the 150 cities with populations above 5,000, only 83 of them employ IT staff or some type of managed service and will stand to benefit the most from the already existing federal funding for some of these topics as well, due to their more sophisticated networks that boast above minimum recommendations for active network management, as well as hardware and software capabilities. The remaining 702 cities in this state don't have dedicated IT staff, and on average have a total of about 7 FTEs working with the city in total, with almost a third of them having only 1 FTE or less. These cities have minimal technology, lack minimal hardware and software capabilities, including basic data backup systems and data security, which are critical for a baseline cybersecurity posture. While what we at the League and through our League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, which provides property casualty coverage for most of the cities in this state, are seeing on the ground is a marked uptick in cybersecurity claims due to ransomware attacks. We're seeing more data breaches, we're seeing more attacks, we're seeing more unauthorized access. The bill intended is to fill those gaps that we're seeing across the state, and to make those federal funds that I mentioned go further to ensure critical infrastructure and sensitive data is protected in all of our communities from malicious attacks. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I am happy to stand for questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lightfoot. Next, we'll have Gramberg Moberg. Please introduce yourself to the committee and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to start by thanking members for taking the time to hear this, and Representative Boehner specifically for being sensitive to our concerns. My name is Gramberg Moberg. I'm with the Minnesota Association of Townships. We represent 1,776 townships in the state of Minnesota. It's about 16% of the population. It's about 9,000 township officers. Now, we wholeheartedly support the cause of making Minnesota's governments safer in cyberspace. Now, unlike our compatriots in the cities and the counties, it's less common for us to manage critical infrastructure. Nevertheless, we do, as a matter of course, deal with a lot of sensitive information to do with our citizens. Now, hard data for us is a bit ticklish in this area, but as a rough proxy, the Small City and Town Accounting System, which is a program developed by the Office of the State Auditor, one that we do recommend and we like quite a lot. 1,185 townships use it, and inherently as part of using that, we are collecting things like W-2s, W-4s, social security numbers. We do not have a whole lot of infrastructure in place presently to protect that sort of thing. Given the way the world is working, the increased pressure of online-only reporting systems, we would expect more townships to become vulnerable to cybersecurity over time. Now, obviously, we would like, to the legislature to wave a magic wand and to fix this with the giant money tree, that we're sure you all have. But we understand that this is a budget shortfall year, and we view this compromise, this $5,000 compromise, as a good step towards building security for our governments and for our citizens in cyberspace. Thank you.
I've looked around here for 11 years and I've not seen that tree. Maybe one day we can take a field trip, and if we can find it, we'll all circle around it and shake it. Thank you very much. I will open this up to other members of the public. Once, twice. Okay. Member questions? Seeing none. Representative Anderson, you have time.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I had to do a quick check of the clock. Appreciate the bill. Just had a question on clarification of your language in your amendment. It says eligible entity is a city, county, or town with a population greater than 5,000. Are you excluding just townships under that threshold, or also cities and counties under that 5,000 population?
Representative Bonner.
I believe we can check with nonpartisan staff, but that was intended to be, I believe, a township with a population greater than 5,000.
Mr. Sullivan, would you like to give a thumbs up, thumbs down, or go to the microphone? Thumbs up. That's per Chair Representative Bonner's answer just now. Chair Anderson, would you like that reiterated?
Yeah, so you're saying it just pertains to townships. But it seems to me the way it's written, it says city, county, or town with a population greater than 5,000. I would just suggest a little bit of clarifying language on that line. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. And given that this is going to be laid over, we'll be working on this as it proceeds forward. So anybody else? Lead Cleavorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Vice Chair, Representative Bonner. I will say thank you so much for your work and dedication to all of our municipalities on this really important bill, and for your dedication and support and making sure that our systems are safe and secure and that the public can have confidence in them. So thank you very much.
Representative Bonner to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just close briefly with saying, really this is about two things. I think having the ability to update our cybersecurity posture for all of our partners means that we don't lose the trust of citizens who are relying on us to deliver our critical services. And the other issue is, quite frankly, when a cyber incident occurs, it tends to cost a lot of money, and it costs a lot of taxpayer money. And so really getting ahead of this is really important for all of us to do that. Not to mention that, like it was mentioned earlier, a lot of these entities have critical data, things like social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, sometimes credit card information, and all of the like, that I'm pretty sure our citizens would expect and want all of us to maintain and continue to keep those healthy. I will end with making sure that you know, if you didn't see them already in your packet, you have letters from Minute, Minkitla, and MLC, or League of Minnesota Cities, excuse me, and of course we have from the Minnesota Association of Townships. We have all of their support of this bill, and I would ask for consideration to lay this bill over.
All right, so Representative Bonner, thank you for your presentation. We are going to lay this bill over, so it is laid over.